Good morning, everyone. It's me, Rhonda, again, and I am speaking to you the day after World Mental Health Day. And World Mental Health Day is intended to bring awareness to the importance of embracing mental health for ourselves and for others, both in your personal life as well as in the professional realm. I posted some things on social media about this very important day, as did so many other people around the world. So that's to be expected. And I know it's perhaps redundant to say this, but it's really important. So I'm going to go ahead and say it again. But mental health is not restricted to just one day of the year. That's just a day to pause and try to raise awareness. But I really want to speak about something really personal today because I am dealing with a challenge of trying to support a very close loved one who is struggling with mental health issues. And I have done everything in my power to help, to support emotionally, financially, every kind of which way that I can think of, to help. As someone who is, a coach, and it's my natural nature to want to help people, but this one really cuts close to home because this is a loved one, and it's there's a reason why they tell you that it's not ideal for you to coach people who are too close to you because you're really too involved in their life to be as effective. And I have to tell you that I had fleeting thoughts about trying to use a coach approach to help this individual, but to be honest, coaching is not an appropriate intervention for what this person is going through. So I recognize that I'm limited in that regard. But as the fact that this person is very near and dear to my heart, this is a very close, loved one, family member, that just makes it even more challenging. We want to do everything we can to help the people that we care about in our lives. And it's really frustrating when nothing we're doing seems to be helping. And it's even more frustrating when that person is very reluctant to get professional help. And on that note, I just want to say it's a damn shame that in the United States, things are such that this person doesn't have health insurance. And even when this person did have health insurance, it was so expensive. It was really not affordable. And, through this person's employer, it really was not that affordable. So I'm just thinking about the millions and millions of people who are working their butts off. And even though they have insurance, it just cuts so much out of their paycheck. And then at that, some of the services that are covered are just so limited. And then there's the deductible and there's the copay. I mean, I'm not here to go off on a tangent about the state of healthcare in the United States, but it is an absolutely significant factor in the current situation. You see, I live here in the Netherlands, and so I'm quite a distance away from this person, and there's only so much that I can do. It's not feasible for me to jump on a plane and fly back home every time there's a critical meltdown. And my heart is just breaking because this person doesn't have insurance anymore. And even when they did, they just couldn't get every single thing that they needed. So the message that I want to get to is the fact that I had a pretty sleepless night last night. This person had another kind of a meltdown, and I am about on the verge of getting on a plane and hopping back over there, side note. But as I struggled to try to find help online, all the way from another country, to try to just get some assistance, it occurred to me that as hard as it is for me, and this is a message for you if you happen to be in this situation, as hard as it might be, sometimes, you have to realize your limitations. I realize with a level of clarity last night that I am a coach, that I am not a mental health professional. I am not skilled in dealing with things like bipolar or clinical depression or borderline personality disorder. I'm just not skilled in handling these kinds of situations. And the more that I try to hang in there and hold on and help and rescue and save, I'm starting to experience that my mental health is being affected now. And I'm not going to be any good to anybody if I go kind of sideways, So that's part of the message that I wanted to bring to you today. In my frantic state in the middle of the night, just Googling, how can you help someone who's struggling, I ran across an article, and it was a really interesting way that this author put the scenario. They said, imagine you're on a plane and, there's some turbulence and the plane's kind of bouncing around, and you're a parent and you have two children. You have one child that's, refused to put their seatbelt on. They haven't been cooperative, so, they're not in their seatbelt. Another child who is buckled in their seatbelt, but, is quite disturbed by what's going on. The oxygen mask drops, and you're a mom, so you're just freaking out, and you're trying to really pay attention to the child that doesn't have the seatbelt on. You're really trying to help, but in the process of doing that, you're ignoring what you were told, which is to put your mask on first, because you have to see about yourself first. Yes, even before your children. Those are the instructions that you get when you take off on a flight, right? So this little metaphorical story goes that the mom gets bumped in the face with something because she's losing concentration because she doesn't have her oxygen mask on, and she's not thinking clearly because she's not got, I guess, enough oxygen or something. But anyhow, the long story short is that finally a flight attendant came and assisted the child that didn't have the seatbelt on, and they got everybody in place. And as the flight attendant is helping the mom, who finally put the mask on, is helping her clean up her now bloodied face from having been struck by some moving object. And the flight attendant said, we're so glad that you're okay, but this is what happens when you try to do, in your frame of mind, you think that only you can do what others are trained to do. And basically the moral of the story is they came and they assisted the child with the seatbelt and they got everything under control. But mom, in the midst, got injured and, almost could have lost herself in the situation. So that really struck me because I feel like the mom in that story more and more frequently lately. As I have gone to my wit's end to do anything and everything in my power to save the situation. And so the message is, recognize your limitations, and know when it's time to get help. Not only because you have to realize when you are not equipped, you are not skilled to provide in a way that the person who is in trouble needs at that moment. And it's not about an ego trip or anything like that, but sometimes you feel like you don't want to be a quitter, right? So if you're, excuse me, if you're one of those people that feels like, if I give up, I'm quitting on this person, that's not it. And please get that message through. You're not giving up on them just because you realize your limitations and you know that you need to get help. What you're doing is a noble thing because it takes strength to let go sometimes. And you have to know when to let go. So, on that note, I did advise this individual last night that I'm completely out of moves. And I implore them to seek professional help. Well, then that comes back to the point about the not having insurance. How many people do you know, or do you think you might know, who have struggles with mental health or even just plain old medical, physical health issues, and they don't take care of themselves? They don't reach out. They don't even try to look for help because they don't have health insurance. And this video is not about health insurance or not health insurance, but what I'm saying is the perception that there's absolutely no help. And then people get deeper and deeper into the darkness because they have a perception that there's no help for them. So when you are trying your best to hold on and hang in there and do and help, maybe the best type of help that you can do for a person is to look for resources for them and point them to resources that might be available. So here's what I ended up doing at about 4 o'clock in the morning, because like I said, I didn't sleep well last night. And so I hope that this works for you. So I went to Google and I typed in the county where this person resides, blah, 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 county mental health services. Okay. And I wasn't aware that, there are programs out there for people who have low income or no income or whatever the case may be. There are programs that are designed based on a person's income for mental health services. I found things that are county based. I found resources that are programs through the state where this person lives. And one of the organizations that I ran across was the United Way. I spent a good hour and a half just Googling and clicking on every possible link that I found that looked like it could at least lead me potentially to somewhere where I could get some information, some solid, concrete information, so this person would be able to actually pick up a phone and call someone and go somewhere and be seen, and it not cost a lot of money. So I wanted to just put this message out there because I can't be the only one who's trying so hard to help somebody, and then you're at a loss, you don't know where to go, and the person you're trying to help keeps telling you, well, I don't have insurance, so there's nothing for me, so I'm not even going to try. And they continue to struggle by themselves, just white knuckling it through some of the deepest depression or whatever it is that they're going through. And it's just not necessary. So I just felt moved to put this message out today, because if you find yourself in that situation, trust me when I tell you that all the love and the help and the assistance and the hand wringing and the hanging on the phone with them and the checking up on them and the calling and the texting and sending people to their house to check on them. And there was even a point where a wellness check was made, calling the local law enforcement agency in the area to get them to please go check on this person. All of that stuff is only going to get you so far. And unfortunately, it might even strain the relationship that you have with that person, because they may not be in the right frame of mind to be able to process and understand that you really are just looking out for their best interest. All of this help that we give sometimes is received as being incredibly intrusive. We can't see it that way because we're looking at the situation as an outsider looking in on their situation. And we're like, oh my gosh, this person's in trouble and they need help. Well, I'm gonna do that. I love this person. I'm gonna do everything in my power to help. But they may not be able to receive it. And you know why that is? Because you're not trained to give them what they need. So take heed. Do a Google research, do a Google search and do the research. Try to find the resources. And take care of your own mental health too, because before you know it, you may find yourself having sleepless nights and tearful mornings because you know deep down inside that there's nothing you can do. This person has to take that first step themselves. And sometimes the best way that you can help them is to at least point them in the right direction for that first step. And sometimes it's not going to be you. That is the direction that they need to go in. And so I'm not suggesting at all that you give up on this person or that you abandon them or you just throw your hands up, throw the towel in, wash your hands, whatever cliche phrase you want to insert there. I am not suggesting that at all. But what I am suggesting is that you get more strategic about the way that you help and the way that you support. And as a coach, I tell you, it is very effective to do a lot more listening and a lot less talking. And you can ask questions, but be very careful about the questions that you ask. Tip, no close-ended questions, because you're not going to get anywhere with that. Ask open-ended questions and try to think of, asking them in such a way that gets that person to reflect and then be quiet and give them the space to express themselves. Equally important, refrain from any verbal, Be very neutral with your reactions, because every little sigh or facial expression can really be very triggering for that person, especially if they're in a state of having kind of a meltdown. So be poised and neutral and open and empathetic and very mindful of the way that you interact, and reach out to the professionals. And, I encourage you, if you're not sure if someone that is close to you is, whether it's just, they're just going through something, or if they really, truly have a mental health situation, pay attention to patterns, because usually these behaviors cycle. That's something that I've noticed. There's definitely a cycle. There's a pattern. So just pay attention to that. And for your own awareness and for informational purposes, do some research about things like bipolar disorders and borderline personality disorders and clinical depression. anxiety, stress, it's helpful to just have an awareness of these common things, just so that if you ever do encounter a friend, a family member, even a colleague at work, maybe you'll be able to kind of recognize the signs, and you don't know, you might just be the person to help that person find the help, the professional help that they need, because you're paying attention and you recognize the signs. So again, my top takeaways are that I hope that you get today are know when it's time to kind of back off a bit and call in professional help. Take care of your own mental health while you're trying to help others, and do your research so that you can not only become aware of some common mental health issues, but also so that you can hopefully find resources for the person if they don't have insurance, or if they are logistically situated in a place where there's maybe not a lot of services available to them. And it might be helpful also to kind of try to find out who's in their network, what other friends, family members might be around them, and try to get their permission to bring them into the conversation if they trust that person. Because one other thing I want to say is that sometimes it's a group effort. You don't have to be the sole support system for this person. It's going to take several people sometimes to come together and support a person when they're going through some of their darkest moments. So again, it's the day after it's the day after World Mental Health Day, but every day is Mental Health Awareness Day for me, and it should be for you and everyone around the world, because we're all humans, and we don't just conveniently break down on an appropriate day of the year for people to pay attention to these very serious issues and situations that most of us at one point or another in life tend to experience. I've been there. I know the pain of deep depression. I've battled with it myself in my younger years, and it took an incredible amount of grit and time to overcome them. And the thing is, the person who's going through that, they may not be in a place to recognize how much you care about them. So don't take it personally if they don't react or respond in a way that you think that they should, with gratitude and appreciation. Because you know what? They're too busy being depressed. They just don't have that extra thing to tend to, social pleasantries, etc. So don't take it personally. That's another thing I wanted to say. Just keep that in mind. Do what you got to do. Find the help. Step back. Take care of yourself. And bring a plethora of resources and other people in a network to help out. Anyway, thank you for listening to this video. And if you want to share any of your own experiences, please hit me up in the comments and let's have a conversation about it, because part of raising awareness about mental health is to talk about it. Thank you for your time.